Good morning, Sales Ascender. In this video, we're going to talk everything body language around the eyes, specifically when it comes to sales calls, what to look for, how to read body language when it's about your eyes. Stay tuned. What's happening, Sales Ascender? Sean here, back at you with another high-ticket tune-up. It's Tuesday. I hope you had a great weekend. I hope you're off to a great start this week. This week, I'm excited. We are diving into a series around the eyes. We're going to talk about eyeballs. Are you ready for it? Okay, so let's just dive right into it. What do we want to look at or talk about when it comes to the eyes in body language? Very simply, here is a quick overview. First and foremost, the eyes, as we may or may not know, are the visual gateway to the world. It's attached to our brains, and specifically it's attached to our primal brain. You've probably heard the term reptile brain and not reptile brain, conscious mind, subconscious mind. Well, the eyes actually have a shortcut directly to your primal brain, which skips your rational mind, and it allows you to process a lot of data really, really fast. So your visual gateway to the world, not only does it allow you to see things at a level where you can comprehend them, but it also allows you to interpret things at a level you can't comprehend, which makes them really powerful. The visual cortex seeks novelty and new experience. The visual cortex is one of the biggest parts of your brain. Your eyes are connected directly to this. And so your eyes are constantly, the reason that they move around so fast and they can do some cool things is because they're able to experience new stuff, and they look and they seek novelty. This is something that's really valuable. This is what your brain always craves, is new experiences. Of course, the eyes can show love and compassion. I'm sure you've looked into a spouse or loved one's eyes and you've seen how much they care by just sharing back. A lot of people say, oh, it's the window to your soul. A lot of people believe this, especially when you're looking in a baby's eyes and they have no records in their head. The only records they may have in their head about fear, because there's only two fears that you have in yourself when you're born. Number one is the fear of loud noises for protection, and the second one is the fear of falling or the fear of heights. And those are the only two pre-programmed when you're born fears that are in your body. The rest of them, I love and I hate to tell you, they're all made up. So if you have any fears beyond loud noises and the fear of falling, then that's something that you can actually clear out of your mind and move forward. So the secret here with the eyes is it shows love. It also shows compassion. It can also show fear and disdain, right? The eyes can show things of, oh my gosh, this is not good, or, oh, I'm scared out of my mind, right? And you can see that in somebody's eyes simply by looking. One of the biggest tips that I share with professional salespeople is awareness. Most salespeople are trying to multitask. Most business owners, most entrepreneurs are always trying to do 1 or 2 or 10 things at a time. Guess what? It's ineffective. It doesn't work. You're going to get as less results than if you just stay hyper-focused on one thing. And when it comes to the eyes and body language and sales, here's what I'll tell you. If you're focused at somebody's eyes and you can watch and learn the things I'm about to share with you, and you stay present in the moment when you're having a conversation and actually connect by looking at their eyes in the camera, looking on Zoom, if you're in person, whatever, you'll be able to move forward really, really quickly. Eyes can also show something is completely wrong, or they can also dictate they own a room. I don't know if you've ever been to a conference, but if you have, you've probably seen a stage speaker that come up and just lit it up, and he knew or she knew that they were going to crush it. And if you look in her eyes before or even after they do their presentation, you know that they own the room. And so there's just that whole piece around. That's kind of the non-comprehensible stuff that you can see within the eyes, and you can just comprehend it. So let's dive into dilation and restriction of your eyeball. This is important. We got to watch this. This is one of the biggest things that I look for in a sales conversation. Sometimes if you've ever had one with me, you know that I'll be watching your eyes and I'll be looking to see how big or small your pupils get. Why? Because dilation indicates comfort. When somebody's eyes are getting bigger when you're talking, that means you're saying the right things. It's one of the fastest and easiest visual cues in any sales conversation that you could ever worry about. So when you're talking with somebody and you see that their eyes are like lit up and their face gets a little happy, and you can start to see into the dilation of their eyes are getting bigger, what does this mean? Your eyeballs are trying to suck in more light because it's a novel or new experience that your visual cortex, your brain actually likes. So we look as a sales professional, we're looking at the eyes to go bigger. That's the secret, right? On the other hand, when they get really small, what does this mean? This means it indicates dislike or negative emotion. In some extreme cases, it can mean hyper focus, but it's not going to probably, unless you're like a race car driver or something, Formula One, this is where you'll see those guys when they get out of their vehicle, you'll see how small their pupils are, but then when they go to celebrate, boom, their eye pupils go really, really big. You can watch this in movies, you can see it anywhere and everywhere, and I encourage you to look for this, because when you, and this is a great way to tell if actors are great actors or not. If they're able to get into a scene and really own the role, their pupils are going to be bigger than if they're really dilated or small. It's just a kind of a cool tip that you can remember, right? Pro tip here. If you're courting somebody that you want to date or marry, I would encourage you, if you're going out to restaurants or dinners, have a dimmer light setting. Why? Because that's going to naturally increase the dilation of the eyes. And when that happens, it creates comfort and relaxation. And that person that you're working to court will be more open to you. In sales, the same thing. You don't want somebody having to stare into out of a window into the sun, or maybe if there's like, you can see I can crank this light up on my eyes. If you're doing stuff where it's, you have like a Zoom, for example, keep the light just a little bit lower than you think it actually needs to be, because what will happen is it will make your eyes dilate automatically, right? This is why the doctor will shine a light in your eye to make sure that your eyes are functioning correctly by the dilation. So, and the second thing I will share on a pro tip is squinting. I didn't believe this until I actually tried it for myself, and I'll kind of share where I did this with. When you squint, you can see further. Your eyeballs will actually constrict automatically, and you'll be able to see further. And what's interesting about that is, like, I was taking my driver's test years ago, and I had had a kind of a late night before I went in to get my driver's license test. And I went in there, I was renewing it. I think I was like 22 or something, or 21 or whatever. I went in and I was kind of blurry. And so I went and I looked at those little letters where you see in the little machine. And I remember that I was just open, my eyes were regularly open. I was looking at those letters and they're all blurry. And I was like, oh man. And so I squinted and everything became clear. And that was the moment I was like, oh, it works. Like, seriously, when you squint, you can actually see clear and see further. So just a little pro tip for you as you're going through your day. Now let's talk about the stuff around the eyes, because we talk about the most important thing to look for is the pupil dilation and constriction in a sales call. The second thing we want to look around is more importantly, things around the eyes, all the area here. This is the fastest place where you can tell that a prospect is nervous or something's not right or something like this, by watching just the area around the eyes, okay? So if we look for relaxed muscles, if we don't see lines and it's just clean and clear and crispy, there's no color, obviously makeup's a thing, but if we're looking for relaxed muscles, that's going to be the secret, right? Because when you have relaxed muscles, it means you're signaling comfort and confidence. This means that you're focused, you're in the moment, you're aware, you're hyper, you're present. So if you're watching your prospect, look at their eyes, look around their eyes, see how, if they're squinting or what are they doing there. And you know, if it looks relaxed, guess what? You're in a good spot, right? Likewise, on the other side, if you see things start to scrunch, or you start to see what's happening in this little GIF where there's little micro twitches. Micro twitches are things that your subconscious mind processes really fast, and at the same time, it's a key indicator. And so if we can tune our little sales antenna on the back of our head to look at a prospect and look for these things subconsciously or consciously, now that you're aware of them, you'll be looking for them. And when you see a little twitch, that's usually an indicator for you to stop what you're doing and ask a question. So whenever I see an eye twitch, I always stop. I'm like, hey, did that make sense to you? And I'll be like, actually, I'm glad you asked. No, it didn't. Here's why. Boom. You're in it, you have better rapport. And so look at eye twitches, so valuable, right? So valuable. The eye twitches typically indicate stress, they indicate problems, et cetera, right? Pro tip here, like I mentioned, just check the eye twitch. Now, eye twitches typically occur for one of two reasons most of the time. Number one is what I was sharing. These are gonna be micro twitches where you'll just see somebody's eyes twitch, or they'll go like this, or they'll shake, or whatever. You know, like a lot of people will have this eye twitch. When this happens, again, usually indicates stress. Typically, as a sales professional tells me, stop and ask a question. Did this just make sense of what I said to you or not? I saw a little movement. Your body language didn't speak to me. Sometimes I even call it out. I'm like, hey, your body language didn't really speak to me there. Like, is there something wrong? Yes, there is. Boom. Then they could tell you, right? It's okay to call it out, because it makes you different from everybody else. And then the second thing, the reason the eye twitch is probably because of lack of sleep, and that obviously creates stress. So, all right, well, that's it for today, guys. I hope that was helpful. I know a lot of people love the body language series that we've been doing. I've been getting some great feedback on this, and I hope it's been valuable for you. By the way, don't forget to smash that like button if this was valuable, and share this to somebody who cares. Don't forget to hit the subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I can't wait to see